What's up? It's Super Bowl Sunday. Welcome to another episode of Classic Dallas Cowboys Talk. I am Sean Farrell. God is great. All the time. All the time, God is great. Jesus Christ died and he rose again. Let's get into it. So today we're going to be discussing Super Bowl memories, the good and the bad, from the Cowboys' 8 appearances in the Super Bowl. Okay? So let's start with Super Bowl 5, which some people call the worst Super Bowl ever played. And the precursor to that Super Bowl, the worst Super Bowl ever played, was after the national anthem was played, the Super Bowl flyover was supposed to occur. Okay? 1 minute goes by, 2 minutes go by, 3 minutes go by, 4 minutes go by, 5 minutes go by, and then finally the Super Bowl flyover happens, and Steve Sahable, rest in peace, he said, I guess they didn't practice that Super Bowl flyover. But that was the worst Super Bowl ever played because that game was just full of turnovers. That was a turnover-marred Super Bowl. And it was ugly, very ugly. There were some freakish plays that happened in that Super Bowl, like the Johnny Unitas touchdown pass to John Mackey. Charlie Waters tipped the pass. Then it landed right into the hands of John Mackey. Okay. And Dwayne Thomas fumbled at the 1 yard line. Dwayne Thomas fumbled at the 1 yard line. And Craig Morton threw a interception late in the fourth quarter that set up the game-winning field goal for the Baltimore Colts. And you remember that's the game where Bob Lilly took his helmet off and tossed it into the air. And the Cowboys back in those days were labeled as, quote, next year's champions, okay? And they said that we couldn't win the big one. That was the name we were tagged with, next year's champions. So in 1971, well, before I get to 71, but a bit of positivity came out of that game. Chuck Howley, the only player from the losing team to have Super Bowl MVP with 3 interceptions. Yeah, Hall of Famer Chuck Howley, I might add. The only player from the losing team to win Super Bowl MVP, like Jerry West in the 1969 NBA Finals. The only player from a losing team to win NBA Finals MVP, Jerry West. So, we go back in 71, and we're much more better. We're playing the Miami Dolphins. We beat them 24-3. Dwayne Thomas played well, had a touchdown run. Mike Ditka called a touchdown pass, and we're all back in that game. And everybody remembers Brian Greasy. Brian Greasy, okay. The play where he dropped back a gazillion yards and lost a gazillion yards in that game. You're being pursued by Bob Lilly and Leroy Jordan, and you keep backing up, and you keep backing up, and you keep backing up, and then you finally decide to go down. Come on, man. Really? That play may be in the top 2 of worst plays in Super Bowl history. Okay? Next to Garo Upremian's pass against the Redskins. Then next year, you remember when Garo Upremian had his kick block and he tried to throw a pass. Garo Upremian. Yeah. But that Bob Greasy play may be one of the top 2 plays, top 2 worst plays in Super Bowl history. Okay. So we go back to the Super Bowl in 1975, and we're playing the Pittsburgh Steelers. We weren't picked to do too much that year, but Staubach led us to a pair of upset road playoff victories, a Hail Mary game in Minnesota, and the NFC Championship game versus the Rams. So now we're playing the Pittsburgh Steelers. And That's the game Percy Harvin caught a touchdown pass on Mel Blount. Percy Harvin came into the game because Mel Blount had knocked out Golden Richards with bad ribs. Okay, so in comes Percy Harvin. I think I said Percy Harvin, but I meant to say Percy Howard. Percy Howard is the name. Okay, so he starts talking stuff to Mel Blount, and he's telling Mel Blount, "I can get open on you." So then he's like, "Why don't you go over and tell Roger that?" So he told Roger that, and on the next play, Percy Howard says he came off the line slow, and then he burst into speed as Mel Blount was kind of turning his back. And then he was able to run by Mel Blount and catch a pass from Staubach. Drew Pearson had a touchdown pass that game too. Okay. And so when Percy Howard caught the touchdown pass, Percy Howard remembers that Mel Blount's eyes were about as big as a clock because Mel Blount could not believe that this guy got open on me for a touchdown. And at the end of the game, Percy Howard, if he makes that play, it is the greatest play in Super Bowl history, bar none. Okay, so Staubach throws a Hail Mary at the end of the game, and Percy Howard is one of the Cowboy receivers in the end zone. Percy Howard mistimes his jump. Okay, if Percy Howard probably would have waited a fraction of a second or a full second longer and catches that pass, that is the greatest Super Bowl play in NFL history, bar none. Okay, but Percy Howard mistimed his jump, so when he mistimed his jump, he couldn't quite make the play. But if Staubach had completed that pass to Percy Howard, that would have gone down as the greatest play in Super Bowl history, bar none. So we go back in 77. And there are a couple of storylines from that Super Bowl. One being Staubach, Craig Morton. If you remember, there was a quarterback controversy taking place during the 1971 season between Staubach and Morton, and Staubach won out over Craig Morton. So Craig Morton ended up getting traded after the 1974 season to the New York Giants for a number 1 draft pick, which became Randy White. Okay. So now here they are in Super Bowl 12. Staubach versus Craig Morton, Randy White. And this game was sloppy at the beginning. Turnovers, fumbles, interceptions. I believe Benny Barnes had an interception earlier that game, but this game was sloppy early on. Bad plays, turnovers, but the Cowboys eventually settled down, and probably one of the best plays from that Super Bowl came when Robert Newhouse halfback option pass. Golden Richards recalls that. Golden Richards says Robert Newhouse threw the perfect pass because when Robert Newhouse threw the pass, it went right down the row of lights at the Superdome. And it was the perfect pass that landed right in Golden Richards' hands. Okay. And the Cowboys eventually ended up winning 27-10. And Drew Pearson said we were pretty much counting our money at halftime. Offense played well. Defense played well. And the co-MVPs, Randy White and Harvey Martin, stood out of that game. Co-MVPs, Randy White and Harvey Martin. So we go back in 1978, and we're playing the Pittsburgh Steelers again. That was the game where Hollywood Henderson said Bradshaw couldn't spell cat if you spotted him the C and the A. So, Tony Hill caught a touchdown pass earlier that game. D.D. Lewis had an interception of Terry Bradshaw. And one of the big plays that the defense made. One of the big plays that the defense made. I just did it again, man. One of the big plays that the defense made in that game was when Thomas Hollywood Henderson was in the process of sacking Terry Bradshaw. And in the process of sacking Terry Bradshaw, Mike Hageman took the ball away from Terry Bradshaw. Okay. So Hollywood sacks Terry Bradshaw. Mike Hageman takes the ball away from Terry Bradshaw and runs it back for a touchdown. Okay. And so there are two plays that happened in that game that really turned that game around. The first play I'm about to mention really was a game changer. Okay, so it's the third quarter. Cowboys are driving. Okay, Cowboys are driving, and I wasn't even born in 1978. Okay, I wasn't even born in 1978, but I've seen the plays and I've seen the footage. And I wasn't born in 1978, but kind of makes you 100, doesn't it? So Cowboys are driving into the third quarter, and the Cowboys had a play call. Okay, and they execute the play action. Okay, they execute the play action perfectly. Jackie Smith is wide open in the end zone. Wide open. Staubach throws him, and he just can't hang on. He just can't hang on. Oh, my God. I can hit you not. Just as I was talking about that play, I got hot chills. I can hit you not. I just had chills talking about that play. Because what if that had happened? What if that play had been so successful? And Staubach describes it. He said, when I threw the ball, it wasn't a good throw. The throw was low, and it surprised him. Okay, and Drew Pearson had this to say. Jackie Smith, a great career, Hall of Fame career, but what do people remember him for? Him dropping the pass in Super Bowl 13. Okay, and it's just unfortunate. It's just unfortunate. It's just unfortunate because with the Hall of Fame career that Jackie Smith had, you really wanted to see him win one. Okay, sort of like Malone and Stockton, right? Hall of Fame careers, but you really wanted to see them get one. Okay, so that was the first play that I think decided our fate, but there was another play that happened in that game. Steelers have the ball. Bradshaw throws the ball deep to Swan, okay? And Benny Barnes and Lynn Swan get tangled up. Swan ends up tripping and falling, okay? And they call a penalty on Benny Barnes, okay? And Benny Barnes was like, what did I do? Benny Barnes was like, what did I do? Benny Barnes thinks it was an incidental contact. And Roger Staubach said Benny Barnes was right there. Okay? Benny Barnes was right there. And the referee was standing right there. Looking at the play. The referee who was standing right there looking at the play, looking at Swan and Barnes. He's looking at Lance Swan and Benny Barnes running down stride for stride. And the referee's like, incomplete. But the referee over there, way over there, saw something different as opposed to the referee who was standing right here, looking at Benny Barnes and Lance Swan running stride for stride. The referee over here called incomplete pass. The referee over here saw something different, okay? And so it was just like, so Roger Staubach had a joke about that. Roger Staubach, I think he said the official's name was Fred Swearington. Okay. He said the official's name was Fred Swearington, who made the call from over here. And so then Roger Staubach made the joke. He said, I heard he was a communist trying to defeat America's team. That was the joke Roger Staubach had. But Roger Staubach said, no. But that was a terrible call. Fred Swearington had no business making that call because he was standing over here as to the official who was standing right there looking at the play, looking directly at the play. Okay, so, yeah. So, we did score 2 touchdowns in the final couple of seconds. Okay. We did recover an onside kick, too, to score one of those 2 touchdowns. But, yeah, those 2 plays right there. So, we go back in 1992. And we don't get off to a good start in that game because, by the way, I forgot to mention that Thomas Hollywood Henderson, he played that whole Super Bowl high. Super Bowl 13 versus the Steelers. He was actually snorting during the game. Yeah. Thomas Hollywood Henderson. He says this his own self. Henderson said he had a vial, like a vial in his pants. So he was high the whole game. So yeah. So we go back in 92. We don't get off to a good start that game. Steve Tahasker blocked a punt. And Dixon Edwards is usually in on the punt team, but they substituted Robert Jones because Dixon hamstring had a Dixon hamstring. I just said Dixon hamstring. Because Dixon Edwards had a hamstring issue in that game. Okay. So they substituted Robert Jones, who missed the block on Steve Tahasker. And he was able to get through and block Mike Saxon. And the Bills scored. But that's where everything pretty much stopped for the Bills. Almost everything. On the Bills' next possession, Kenny Gant came on a safety blitz and forced Kelly into a rush throw that was intercepted by James Washington, which turned into a Jay Novacek touchdown pass. And then on the Bills' next possession, Haley decks Jim Kelly. And it's that famous shot of that NFL Films has when Haley decks Kelly and Jimmy Jones scoops it up for the touchdown. They have that famous shot of the Cowboy fan in the stands going like, yeah, pow, 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 pow. Yeah, I think I have it. Yeah, here we go. It's right here. Here it goes right here. Okay, yeah.
In an electrifying burst of might, the Cowboys scored their second touchdown in 15 seconds.
Kelly's going to throw here. Haley, hit him, kicked out to the air. Jimmy Jones intercepts and rolls in for a touchdown.
We set it up by adjusting our pass rush. Charles Haley normally lines up on the defensive right side. We moved him over to the left side. Haley sacked Kelly again, this time at the Bills' 2-yard line. Kelly fumbled, and our Jimmy Jones caught the ball in midair, and we went in for a touchdown.
Charles Haley going up against Howard Ballard, and that speed rush of Haley, he just went right around the house and hit Jim Kelly.
Johnson's approach is straightforward. Get talented players, keep it simple, and put them in positions to make big plays. In Pasadena, he unleashed them like a Santa Ana wind in a storm of turnovers and touchdowns.
It's a disaster for the Bills.
We led 14 to...
Yeah. So, the Bills had another chance to score a touchdown. That's when the goal line stand happened. That's when Ken Norton made one of the best plays of the game. He actually stopped Kenneth Davis He actually stopped Kenneth Davis. There goes right there. Okay. I'm just gonna let Jimmy Johnson tell the story.
Touchdown by linebacker Vincent Smith. Dallas would turn them back.
We made that goal line stand with two of the biggest plays of the game. On 3rd and 1, Buffalo running back Kenneth Davis came left, and Kenny Norton made a great play to stop him for no gain.
To the right. And the handoff to the deep man, and a bang at the goal line. Oh, stop it! Pushed back. He was pushed back. He didn't get in. Kenny Norton, Brad. Kenny Norton makes a huge hit. He makes the play. Started this game by saying that Ken Norton would have to have his name called a lot if the Cowboys are going to be successful, and it's Norton who makes the play.
After Ken Norton made that play, that led to James Washington interception. Okay, and then again, Ken Norton tackled Jim Kelly. Jim Kelly injured his knee. Then it was pretty much over for Buffalo at that point, 52-17. Okay. Now I already told you about Super Bowl 28, 30-13. Super Bowl 30 was a Larry Brown game. Those two interceptions sealed the deal. I remember Deion Sanders had a big catch in that first quarter. The Cowboys led 13-0. Steelers scored right before halftime, and that's when Larry Brown took over. That's when Larry Brown took over. Not necessarily took over, but intercepted two passes to be straightforward, so to speak. But Larry Brown said, "My hands were so bad that as a rookie, the players on the team called me Edward Scissorhands." That's what he was known to teammates as, Edward Scissorhands. And so he intercepted a couple of passes that set up two Emmitt Smith touchdown runs. And so and Daryl Johnson said everybody was thrilled when he got the MVP because he had gone through some personal tragedy. Like he lost his child earlier that season, okay? He lost his child earlier that season. And then he went through a bit of a rough situation earlier in his career with one of his kids. His kids survived. Had a bad season in 1994. Lost his child during the 1995 season. So for him to win MVP that year, Super Bowl MVP, yeah. Ain't nothing better than that after all that adversity he went through. And let me close by saying this. Daryl Johnson tells a funny story. He says, my position coach, Joe Brodsky, who was the running backs coach for the Cowboys, he said it was one of the best performances he ever seen. And Daryl Johnson said, why is that? Then Joe Brodsky said, because you guys won in spite of the coaching. That's what life was like under Barry Switzer, right? Yeah. All right. That's it. And that's all for Classic Dallas Cowboys Talk. Happy Super Bowl Sunday, y'all. Peace out. By the way, did I mention that I really hate the Philadelphia Eagles, okay? I really hate the Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah, I do. All right. Peace out. God bless. God bless.